You're welcome to Module 3 of the Unlocking Corporate Funding and Partnerships. In this module, we're going to talk about researching your aligned businesses. Now, in Module 2, we put forward the list of businesses that are aligned with your nonprofit. In this module, we're going to look at the who and why of this strategy. The who, meaning the people within these brands that make the decision for partnerships and funding, and then the why, which is going to make your pitch irresistible that will get them to listen to you and go into partnership with you. Now, like I said in the second module, generic outreach would hardly create you any results. But strategic outreach, where you're reaching out to the right prospect, is going to transform your whole strategy and help you win. Let's talk about who do you need to reach out to in these brands? Because this is it. It is not companies that fund initiatives. Of course, the money comes from the company, but it is people within these companies that make the decision to fund initiatives. So instead of sending your messages to info@company.com, just shooting out proposals to different company emails, here, you're actually reaching out to the people who have the capacity and the ability to make your partnership and funding decision for your nonprofit. And when we talk about these people, we're talking about the CEO, we're talking about the corporate social responsibility director, we're talking about the marketing director, we're talking about the HR, we're talking about the partnership manager, we're talking about the business manager, including the board chair. But of course, your value you're providing is really going to determine who you're reaching out to. So let's say, for example, the business, right? They are interested in employee engagement. You're most likely going to be reaching out to the HR. Your business is interested in marketing and brand partnerships. You're most likely going to be reaching out to the marketing director or the partnership director or the business manager. Or the business is interested in corporate social responsibility initiatives. You're most likely going to be reaching out to the CSRO manager. Or it could be the overall business trying to bring in more money and grow and enter into new markets. You're most likely going to be reaching out to the CEO. So the key people you have to reach out to are the people who have the capacity to make the funding or partnership decision for your nonprofit organization. This is going to make the difference than just sending out emails to, the official email of the company. You're most likely going to be reaching out to a gatekeeper who may keep you stuck. Now, aside reaching out to the people, you need to be able to identify the priorities of these businesses. So, like I said, I think it's even first to identify the priorities before you even go in to identify, the people to reach out to. So the priorities for you to identify the priorities, you have to research deeply into these companies. You need to read their CSRO reports, their annual filings, their press releases, go to the company blog, their ESG goals, recent funding trends, pinpoints within their mission statement, right? Follow the executives of these businesses to see if they're saying anything that regards the business that's going to give you insight into what's happening, right? Press releases. You need to be able to research deep into this company. And this is one of the reasons why I say it is quality over quantity. If you have 10 businesses and you take a week out to deeply research each of these businesses, you're going to begin finding trends and roadmaps that you can begin to go in with. Because as I would say, if you know their business priorities and then you know who the executives of these businesses are, you're already halfway in. You already have a clear roadmap into these brands that you can begin to use. So go on their company website, the companies that you've listed out, go on their website, find their executives, find their business priorities, make sure you read deep into them. What are they looking for? What is their goal for this year? What is their priority for this year? What are they looking to achieve? What's recently happened that affected the brand that you know that they would want to get out from? Do a deep research into this brand. And then, of course, create a one page specifically for each brand. Aside doing a deep research, you also want to be able, after identifying who these executives are, you also want to be able to identify how to reach out to them, right? So you could reach out to some of them on LinkedIn. You could reach out to some of them through their phone numbers, through their emails, right? You need to research how do you reach out to each of these executives you've identified. So you could run a research on LinkedIn, you could run a research on Google. Crunchbase is also your friend. We also have some platforms that are very good with helping you pull up emails and phone contacts and addresses. You have platforms like Hunter.io or Clearbit or even Clay.ai. This will help you with accompanying the emails of these brands executives. For phone numbers and addresses, Zoom Info for US databases, Rocket Reach is going to help you get their phone numbers, right? So there are platforms that can help you pull up phone numbers, emails, because you're going to be reaching out strategically. And like I said, you need to create a one page for each business. So for a company, you have to have a page specifically for them. All their priorities you've identified will be listed there. All the executives you know that are capable of making decisions will be listed there. Their phone numbers, their emails, how you're going to contact them, all should be listed there. This is how you create a profile for each business. So if you do this for 20 business, you're going to have like 20 pages with the contact and information of each business you're going to be reaching out to, right? If you could also go a step further, once you identify their phone, their contact details, how you intend to reach out to them, you could also list that out on there. Of course, we're going to be talking about that in the next module, right? On after the next module, because the next module is going to be based on value, identify your own value within your organization. But after that, we're going to talk about how to start reaching out to them. So make sure you have this section for each of these businesses. If you do this right, you not only have these businesses now that you've identified, you now also have their executives, their business priorities, contact details that you can use for your outreach. So take your time, research these businesses. Make sure before you go into the next stage of the process, you've identified who the CEO, the CSR, the manager, this corporate social responsibility director, business manager, who they are, right? And have a page for each of these businesses so that when we go to the next step where we identify the value you can provide these businesses, you can be able to start complementing each of these pages for your organization. So I'll see you in the next module where we'll talk about the value first approach and how to identify your own value proposition you can provide these brands. See you in the next module.